Hi everyone, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome. Today we'll be exploring Super Team, the upcoming 1 to 2 player tactical football soccer game from Roomiz Games, designed by Amir Salamati and Alireza Porasad. Now, as a side note, this game is coming to crowdfunding at the end of August 2025. Links are down below if you want to check it out. Let's jump in and get started. As we look at Super Team spread out in front of us, I do want to clarify that this is a prototype, so final production quality and art may differ a bit from what we see here. So what is Super Team? Well, as we can see based on the board in front of us, Super Team is a hex-based tactical football match-level game. You'll take charge of a team and either play against a live opponent or against the solo bots. The game level is match-based. At the moment, there aren't season, tournament, or campaign options. I'd estimate that a game will take about an hour to play, and each block on the board represents a single player, and a team consists of 5 players plus a keeper. Turn length is abstract, but the game simulates a full 90-minute match. Let's go over some of the gameplay features. First up, gameplay is card-driven. We'll take a look at the cards in detail as we get further into the video, but each team will have a small deck of cards to draw into a 4-card hand, and then when it's your turn, you play 1 to 3 cards from your hand to try to accomplish something on the pitch, like passing, shooting, dribbling, tackling, etc. All the player and ball movement in the game happens on the hex-based pitch, which gives the game a very tactical feel. All the basic football functions are in the game, things like movement, passing, shooting, dribbling, and tackling. Furthermore, one of the intriguing features of the game is that the basic skills are combined into more advanced tactics, where you can string together several basic skills to create powerful combinations that can level up your team's play. Related to this, players choose one of 6 clubs, and each of those 6 clubs have unique advanced tactics. So taking advantage of the advanced tactics particular to your club is key to playing well. Making it even more interesting, there are 6 unique captains who also have unique powerful moves that can work to improve your play. We'll take a look at this when we look at the cards in the game. Giving you even more control over your play is the fact that at the beginning of each half, you choose your play style for the upcoming half. These are your coaching tactics. You can emphasize passing and shooting to go for the offensive knockout punch, take a balanced approach, or have your club concentrate on defense and tackling to deny your opponent chances on goal. There are dozens of combinations you can use as a coach to get your players to play exactly how you want them to play. Morale is also modeled in the game. When you complete successful advanced tactics, you gain morale tokens that can give you more actions and moves later in the match. Advanced tactics also come with a cost, however, as fatigue is modeled in the game. Wear your players out too quickly and they'll be very limited as the match progresses. Lastly, there is also line of sight in the game. Yes, when you're attempting to shoot or pass, you have to check to see if there are opponents in the way. If there are, then that particular action becomes more difficult to complete. All in all, there are a lot of very interesting gameplay mechanics in Super Team. Let's take a quick look at the 26-page rulebook. And as a side note, this is not the final version of the rules. There are some typos that are getting fixed and the layout and length may change a bit. Now, this lengthy rulebook here gives a good indication that gameplay has some meat to it. Although it's important to keep in mind that there are lots of graphics in here too. I read through the rules yesterday over lunch in about a half an hour, and everything was actually very clear to me. I only had 2 minor questions, and the designer confirmed that my assumption on those questions were correct, so kudos on this rule set. One general observation here is that there is depth to gameplay. There is a lot more to this game than the simple movement, passing, and shooting. The inclusion of tactical combinations, captain's play, and coaching styles provide what look to be a lot of fun depth to gameplay. As a long-term fan of football, I am very excited to try this one out. And there is I think, a chess-like feel to things that I think will really please gamers who like to think in their games. Having said all that, the rules don't feel burdensome either. I'll give the game a 2.5 out of 10 on the complexity scale. I think once you play a game or two, things are going to start to go very smoothly. Also, solo gamers rejoice. There are different levels of solo opponents you can play against, and the game provides a full rule set for executing the solo bot play. I'm very interested to see how this works in solo mode as well, and so tentatively a 10 out of 10 for solo, with the caveat that I haven't yet explored how that works. It's also worth noting that there are a handful of optional rules and gameplay adjustments that you can make that as you get familiar with the core rules. I really like to see these sorts of things as they allow players to tweak the level of complexity to find the one that they find most enjoyable to play. In terms of gameplay depth and replayability, there are 6 different clubs to pick from, and each club has slightly different advanced tactics, and likewise 6 unique captains. So this spawns endless combinations of teams and captains, which will give the games a fairly unique feel to them. Combine that with the cerebral tactical nature of play and all of the optional rules and adjustments you can make, and I expect that this will be a game that will get to the table and stay there. Let's take a look at the bits and pieces of the game. So each club has 5 field players on the pitch, plus 1 keeper, so 6 active members playing at once. Now the designer did mention that the size of these figures might change a bit in the final version, and in the prototype we're actually 1 keeper shot, but that's just a prototype thing. We've also got a ball here and a bunch of cubes for marching coaching tactics, and we'll explore how these are used in a little bit. There are also 2 green dice, which give results on a 1 to 4. And then there are 4 beige dice that return results of -1 to 2. We'll come back to these in a bit and take a look at these more later too. There are also some counters for the game. We've got these numbers for scoreboard goals here, and then we have 3 target options for each team. When you're shooting on goal, you pick middle, left, or right for the shot, and the defense guesses the same thing. Then both players simultaneously flip over their markers to see if the goalie is going to be in the way of the shot, and this would reduce the chance of a goal. Lastly, we have a bunch of morale tokens. So clubs earn these morale tokens by doing good things like advanced tactics or successful actions on the pitch. They can then spend them later to increase the potential success on subsequent actions or to activate a player again in a turn. There are 3 different player aids to check out. The first of these is the simplest, which is the mounted scoreboard and time tracker. So scored goals goes in the middle here, and then you move the time tracker from left to right across here. So each player has 12 cards in their deck, and when a deck is expired, that player advances the time marker, further progressing the game until you get to 90 minutes. And these are also holders for cards as you're playing. This has 2 sides as well. So the first side that we just looked at is the faster game. This one has more time increments, allowing for a deeper and longer game. There are 9 team boards that come with the game. Now the 3 that we're looking at here now are for the solo teams that represent the different level of difficulties. So we've got amateur, then we've got professional, and we've got the hardest here, which is super. And these each have 2 sides to represent different types of gameplay. Likewise, we have 6 of these team boards for 2-player games. Now these are also 2-sided, with this first side depicting this basic mode and the back side with an advanced mode that gives each team a special skill they can use during gameplay. Again, a lot of detail has been paid attention to creating options for deeper gameplay as you get more experienced with the rule set. As a quick introduction to how these are used, at the start of each half, each player secretly distributes 6 cubes onto the boxes here at the bottom of the board, and these represent aspects of play that you want to emphasize and have your team focus on in the upcoming half. So for example, if we went something like this, we're going to give a balanced approach for shooting and passing. We really want our team to dribble well, and we really want our goalkeeper to be on top of their game. We're not too worried about tackling defensively. We'll talk about how this actually impacts gameplay a little bit later in the video. There are also 6 captain cards, which are also 2-sided, with an advanced side that we're looking at the top and then a basic side at the bottom here. Now the basic side doesn't feature special abilities for the captain for this board in itself, but for each captain, there are also 3 matching captain cards that go into your deck, and those 3 cards are unique to each captain. Now in the advanced move, the captains become somewhat of star players with special abilities and stronger skills here for performing specific actions. There are a pile of cards in the game. There are 6 different types. Let's take a look at each of the different types in turn. First up, there are 12 solo cards. These are cards that dictate the tactics and strategies and the things that your solo opponent will be trying to do as they're playing against you. Next, we're looking at the basic tactics cards that come in the game. Each club will have 5 of these in their hand at the beginning of the game, and they are identical. So we're looking at one set of these basic tactics cards that come up. Let's take a closer look at how this can be used in the game itself. So all of the cards in your hand can be played in one of 2 ways when it's your turn. You always have the option to play the card as either a basic action like shoot or pass, or as a move card for one player. So you can do either of those two things by just saying, okay, I'm going to play the card for a basic move, and it's done. However, the heart of the game really starts to get at these advanced tactics. Now, these basic cards are very basic tactics. These are singular move tactics. This says the player with the ball when you're on offense has to pass the ball pass a through ball to one of your teammates 2 spots in front of them, and they have to be ahead of where you are. And if you successfully complete that action, then you get these bonus actions, which is to move 2 more players and gain 1 morale token. So if you can play this card in specifically this way, it plays to your advantage because you can do more things with 1 card. Likewise, there are some defensive maneuvers down here that you can do. Move 1 player forward, move 1 player backward, and you gain a morale token when you do that. So if possible, you want to play these basic cards in their advanced form, but it might not always work out that way. Now we come to the advanced tactics cards, and there are 3 unique cards for each team in the game, or each club in the game. So if you're playing with this club's icon down here, these are going to be the 3 cards that are in your deck when you play the game with that club. And as we can see, these follow the same format as these basic cards, except they're much more advanced, right? It's a forward pass to a teammate and then a lateral pass to a teammate. A forward pass to a teammate and then a lead pass to a teammate the other way. And so these types of moves are trickier to pull off, but if you can pull them off, look at all the advanced things that are going to happen. And again, you can always play it for a basic move. Now, the other thing about these advanced tactics, however, is they do come with a cost. If you succeed at the tactic, this little heart token indicates that you have to take a fatigue card. Let's take a look at those. So there are a big pile of fatigue cards in the game. They're all identical. And basically after you perform one of those advanced tokens and you take a fatigue card into your hand, if you have to play that card as one of your cards, notice that the only thing you can do with it is a basic move for 1 player. So this is a very limiting card, but it symbolizes that, hey, your players are starting to wear down. They really can't perform advanced tactics. They just got to move around. So keeping fatigue cards out of your hand as a coach is a key attribute of playing well, but you're going to have to bring some in if you're going to want to use some of those advanced tactics and get your players really moving on the pitch. Our 5th type of cards are the captain's cards. Now there are 3 unique cards for each of the 6 captains in the game. So there are 18 of these cards in the game. So if you're playing with captain number 3 on your club in a match, these are the 3 cards you'd get. If you're playing with captain number 4 on your club, these are the 3 cards you get. So every time you're going to play with a different captain, their abilities will be different. Now, these can always be played again for a basic move and a basic action, but they also have a special ability that can be played that can give you some extra benefits too. For example, if we look at this middle one down here, that can be played after receiving the ball inside the penalty area. You can shoot and skip means you can ignore 1 interfering defender. So this is going to give you a greater chance to get a goal. Likewise, down here, play when adjacent to an opponent. So if you have a player that's adjacent to an opponent, you can push that opponent away 1 hex and then move in a direction. So it creates distance between you and that player. Lastly, we have our 6 coaches cards, which work very much like the captain's cards. They have a conditional special ability, and again, they can always be played as either a basic move or pass. And there is 1 unique card for each club. So depending if you've picked a certain club, you're going to have the card that matches that club. So you're only going to have 1 of these in your deck in a particular game. Likewise with the captain's cards, these all have special functions. So up here we can see, for example, you can pay a morale token and you can ready an exhausted player. And exhausted players, basically, after you move a player in a turn, a player can move either 1 or 2 spaces if they're not exhausted, if they're ready. But once they move, you have to tilt them down, which means they are exhausted. There are some conditions under which you can move an exhausted player, but this one would allow you to play this card, pay a morale token, and ready this player, in which case now they could move 2 spaces instead of just 1, like the limit for an exhausted player. So each of these, again, is fairly unique. This allows you to churn your hand and get better cards. This allows you to move all your ready players 2 squares, so you can move everybody. So these can be pretty powerful played at the right time. Lastly, let's take a look at the game board. This is a single-sided mounted board of the football pitch. It measures 18 inches by 22 inches, so a small footprint. At each end, we have the goalkeeper's box, where only the goalkeepers can go, and the pitch is also marked with the starting positions of each of the club's players. I thought this would be a good time to show just how the basic actions of the game work, like passing and shooting. To do that, I've set up the orange team with the ball at the start of a match. And let's say they want to make a simple pass back to their teammate here to get the ball away from this opponent who could press and tackle them up here. To keep it simple, they're going to play a basic card for a basic action. They're going to say, okay, we're just going to do a basic pass. So how do we see if this is successful or not? First, we have to determine the difficulty of the pass. To calculate that, we count the distance, divide by 2, and round up. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Divided by 2 is 2, no need to round up. So in this case, it's the value of the difficulty of the pass is a 2. Now, if nothing else is impacting the pass, then the player rolls the green die and uses the result on this to see if it's successful or not. But let's say that the orange player's coach at the beginning of the half has put one yellow cube on passing to emphasize passing a little bit at the beginning of the half. In this case, the player would roll the green die plus one additional yellow die to see if the roll is going to be successful, the action is going to be successful or not. There is more that could be done. If the orange player had a morale token, they could exhaust the morale token to add 1 to the result of the die rolls as well. Lastly, if there were a defender or 2 in the way, this would increase the difficulty of the pass by 1. So instead of it being a 2 difficulty, it would be a 3 difficulty. Now, this is basically as complicated as a single action gets. It's an elegant system that also works with some slight modifications for other non-movement actions, things like passing, shooting, dribbling, and tackling. So let's just, for the sake of it, see if the coach didn't allocate a morale token, but did have a passing token here, and there is one defender in the way. The pass would be a 4, divided by 2 is 2, plus 1 for the defender. So they need to get a 3 on the die roll to succeed. They would get a 1 and a 0. They failed at that pass. Now, when you fail at a pass, if there's an interfering defender, it goes there, and possession of the ball would switch to the other team, and blue would take over with the ball. If the die roll were a 3, the pass would be successful. Orange would have possession over here with a lot of open pitch to move into. So there you have it, a look at the upcoming Super Team from Roomiz Games. To me, this feels like a game that has had a ton of thought put into it to create both kind of a believable football game as well as an elegant, streamlined gameplay. As a reminder, if you want to learn more about the game, check out the crowdfunding campaign on GameFound. Links are down below in the video description. Now, very soon I'll be putting up a gameplay video. So as soon as that video is ready, I'll put a link to it here. Thanks for watching.